So between the services this morning, we had our annual meeting. We elected new vestry members to serve our church for a 3-year term. And we discussed St. Paul's mission, core values, and vision. I mentioned that over the last year and a half, our vestry, the governing board of this church, has worked with the rector, with me, and the staff to discern who are we as a church? What are we really about? What is our core? What's our mission? What is to guide everything that we say and do here at St. Paul's Ivy? And the mission that we formulated is this: to help our community find meaning, joy, and love in Jesus Christ each and every day. To help our community find meaning, joy, and love in Jesus Christ every day. That's who we are. That's what we're about. So I thought it would be helpful this morning to tell you a little bit more about what that means. Those are big, potentially abstract words, but really they are a statement of the gospel or the good news of our Christian faith, the whole reason you and I are here in the first place. What does it mean to have meaning in Jesus Christ? What do we mean by that word? Well, when you look around in the world, you see lots of good things, don't you? Family, friends, community, your professional successes, material blessings, maybe your hobbies or extracurricular activities. There are lots of wonderful, genuinely good things in the world. You remember when God created the universe, what did God say? Good. That's good. All those things are good. But are they the ultimate good? Are they goodness itself? Will those things satisfy the deepest yearnings and longings of the human soul? I think you'll find that if you dedicate your life to the goods of this world, and you, in a sense, put them at the center of your life, you will find that they never quite satisfy. They never quite give you what St. Paul says is the peace that passes all understanding. Because those are not the final ends or goals of our human heart. All of those things are good insofar as they come from goodness itself, which is just another way of saying God. God is the goodness itself. And all of those good things in the world participate in God's goodness. They get their goodness from God. And they are meant to be signposts, guides, pointing you to the true fulfillment of your soul, which is God, the good itself. Now, maybe that sounds a little abstract, but I would submit to you that this is the great challenge of living as a Christian disciple. Because you and I are tempted every single day to make the things of this world, which are good, our gods. To make our whole life oriented around them. Some of you have heard that I am a product of McLean, Virginia. Anybody know McLean, Virginia? What is the God of McLean, Virginia? Status. power. And sometimes professional successes and status can be a good, but not if it's your God. Not if it's your God. The Bible calls that idolatry, taking a good in creation and elevating it to the place of the Creator. That is a challenge that you and I face in our daily lives. We are tempted by voices in our culture to make the goods of creation our God. But here at the church, here at St. Paul's, we're called to remind one another of our true aim, our true end, our true fulfillment, which is God, goodness itself. That's true meaning and purpose in life. And then there's joy. Help our neighbors find joy in Jesus Christ every day. Here's another thing that you all know, but I'll just remind you. Life is full of challenge and suffering and brokenness. Many of you I know have experienced trials and struggles in this life. Many of you have lost loved ones, have experienced grief in various forms. And the truth of the matter is that the goods of this world come and they go. Nothing in this world lasts forever. Yeah. He knows. And yet, we can still have joy. Where do we find this joy? Well, you may know that St. Paul, our patron saint, faced a lot of trial and struggle and turmoil as he went out into the world to preach the gospel. Some Sunday, I'll read to you the list of his trials and tribulations from 2 Corinthians. It's like 10 verses of all the most terrible things you can imagine, all to share the good news of Jesus Christ. And he was sometimes imprisoned. His life was endangered for preaching the gospel. And this one time that he was in prison and his life was on the line, he wrote a letter from prison. We call this the letter to the Philippians. And would you believe that the theme of the letter of Philippians, by a guy in jail, suffering, experiencing brokenness, the theme of this letter is joy. Not despair, not gloom, but joy. He writes this: "Rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I will say, rejoice. Let your gentleness be known to everyone. The Lord is near. Do not worry about anything, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God." Paul realizes that our true joy comes from being grounded in the one true firm foundation, which is God. God is unchanging. God is eternal. God cannot be conquered by any of the forces of brokenness in our world. Indeed, God is greater than them all. And Paul realizes that if he has God in his life, if he's grounded on that firm foundation, nothing can take away his joy. Nothing can undermine him. If you put your joy in the things of this world, well, you might lose them. But you can't lose God. I love what St. Paul says to the Romans. He says, "Nothing in all creation can separate us from the love of God in Jesus Christ." That's real joy when you realize that. And lastly, We're here to help our community, the people of Greater Charlottesville, live lives of love. Now, love is one of those words, and especially since we're getting perilously close to Valentine's Day, love is one of those words that is overused in our culture, right? If you really like dark chocolate or something, you might say, I love dark chocolate. Yeah, you like dark chocolate. You love it? Okay, you love it. All right. I won't begrudge you that. But when the Bible uses the word love, it doesn't really mean that. It means something deeper. And it means, the Greek word is agape, it means living an other-oriented life. An other-oriented life. You know, it's very easy to live a self-oriented life. Right? You all know what I'm talking about? Maybe. To be turned in on yourself, day in and day out. That's not a life of love. A life of love is to orient yourself outward and to start by orienting yourself to God. If you want to be more loving in your life towards other people, towards your neighbors, here's my advice to you. Start by loving God more. Meditate on the love that God has for you, the grace that you and I have received to have new transformed life in Jesus Christ, to be reconciled to God through the work of Jesus Christ. Freely given. We didn't do anything to earn that. That's freely given to us. That's an incredible act of love. And when we meditate on that truth, when we sit with it, when we internalize it, something remarkable happens. I've seen this time and time again. Something remarkable happens. You start to love other people more deeply. If you can recognize the grace that God has shown you, it's easier to show grace to other people. To love your neighbor as yourself. 1 John, one of the letters in the Bible, has this great line that I think captures it. It says, we love because he first loved us. We love because he first loved us. Agape, or Christian love, is the flowing through of the love of God into your life towards other people. And that's a life well lived. That's a life you're going to look back on at 85, 90 years old and say, well done. I lived well. This is the gospel, the good news of the Christian faith. That there is true meaning, joy, and love in Jesus Christ. And we are here, as St. Paul's ivy, to proclaim that message time and time again in what we say and in what we do. And that message is for you and for all people in our community. Doesn't matter what you are bringing with you today to church, what struggles or challenges you might have, wherever you find yourself on the journey of faith, that gospel message is for you. So my prayer for all of us, I'm preaching as much to myself today as to you, my prayer for all of us is that we might know in our hearts where our true meaning, joy, and love is found. Amen.